Hi, this is Karl-James Langford, simple video log for the 2nd of October 2014, Thursday. Getting excited for the film I'm featuring in. But, as you know, this isn't all about me. I just thought today we'll talk briefly about just a couple of issues. The Ebola. Daz wanted me to say something about it. Basically my work today on Thursday, and the new series which really paints the pointless and stupid hobby of metal detecting out to be what it is really about. And it's a new series on BBC 4 called The Detectorists. So that's what we're going to be looking at today, and that'll be it. I'm just dealing with a few things on my screen at this minute. Right. So, I'd like to start off with, I did a video recording the other day on the Ebola virus, and Daz Lovegrove, who I know, met him a few times. He put this on Facebook. He says, "Here's a question for your video diary." It goes as follows. If our government forced a vaccination for their man-made Ebola on the population, does sound plausible, doesn't it? Would you take it? Would you take the vaccine? Now, I won't say anything about the rest of what Daz has said for a second. I remember when there was a flu vaccine a few years ago, and some people are still saying it. Because I'm an asthma sufferer, people said, "Oh, Carl, you must take the flu vaccine." I never did. And then I started to hear about one or two of my relatives taking it, falling ill, being more sick, and they would hate taking it because it made them a lot worse. So I never ever took the vaccine. So back to this. Daz goes on to say, "I for one would not, cause vitamin C fights it off." Well, if you eat loads of fruit, Daz is saying it fights the Ebola. Goes on to say, yes, a daily dose of vitamin C would mean that you would have the immunity to deal with it. No Ebola would take your life in that case. And naturally, places like Africa, the diet in parts of Africa, not all over, is very poor. Sometimes no access to meat, sometimes no access to carbs, no access to fruit. So if that's the case in these places that they've got no access to fruit, vitamin C, then that would explain why thousands of people are dying from the Ebola at this minute. And nobody actually ever seems to talk about the Ebola and what seems to cure it. They seem to talk about the tablets. Nobody actually, it's like 70% of people who get Ebola dies. But they don't actually really discuss it much more than that. I'm not saying that Daz is right, but then again, he could have a point. It'd be nice to find out what the reaction from my viewers is on that. Right, the other thing as well is that a long day in work teaching today. It's been a very successful day. Some loyal students in Lansford Major, Bridgend and Cardiff did my last Cardiff class, and sold a number of copies of my book today as well. And the topic that we did today, as I mentioned the other day, I'll put one or two images after this, was about Alfred the Great. And it was very interesting because there was sort of parallels all across the world. And one interesting parallel was even back in the day, Alfred the Great was a unifying factor over the lands of England, Wales and Scotland. He made the Vikings in England in the 880s subservient to his rule. The Welsh were underlords to him. Other parts of England were underlords to him, and it said that parts of Scotland were subservient to the great Alfred the Great himself. So that's brilliant. The idea of Britannia, the idea of us keeping together, but that's another series of discussion and not getting controversial. The other thing I want to mention is the new series on BBC4 that was screened today, Thursday, entitled The Detectorists. It was brilliant. It was a parody of metal detecting, and metal detectors going out, only being interested in finding gold, profit, and making loads of money. And that's what I feel metal detecting is about: making loads of money, making loads of profit. And it's seen in this comedy parody of metal detecting. Well worth a watch. Next Thursday. And one thing that I will be looking at, if I can get my press cuttings, will be this. Will be a coin hoard. Recently found 22,000 coins found by a metal detecting enthusiast. I will be doing a video log looking at this. One question is this: if a metal detecting enthusiast finds a coin hoard, why therefore, if they do it for no profit, do they wish to have £100,000 for the finding of those coins? Why don't they just donate it to the nation, as archaeologists are expected to do so? If you find 22,000 coins worth £100,000, some say £300,000, and you force a museum to buy it, why didn't you just donate them to the museum? It makes no sense. Metal detecting enthusiasts are crooks, and they only do it for money. But anyway, that's another discussion for another day. This is Karl-James Langford from my video log on the 2nd of October, and I wait for people to be slagging me off, and also for that regular thumbs down, which I seem to be getting on a regular basis. Let's have 2 thumbs down. And I know the person who's doing the thumbs down. Quite sad, really. Anyway, I do these so that people can actually engage with some topics, and to react. And I'd prefer reaction than a thumbs down with somebody who's gutless and faceless, who wishes to slag off people who do video logs on the internet. Thank you very much.